Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Good morning, everybody. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. And look who we are. Look how beautiful it is out here. We're at the Feldman Automotive Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational, benefiting Beaumont Children's and Mark Wahlberg's Youth Foundation. And we'll be out here all three shows, Morning Woodward Show, Big D Energy, and Ermanni and Edwards with Maz will be down here. A lot of celebrities are coming through. It's for a great cause, and we're happy to be down here as a network.
Oh, absolutely. This is one of these places where it's kind of surreal that I'm even around here. I see the names of the people that are on the guest list. You can see Mark and Donnie Wahlberg. I obviously am a big fan of Mark Wahlberg, and I've been on a little bit of a New Kids on the Block phase lately too. So I obviously love him in Blue Bloods as well. But it is just a very, very exciting day. A beautiful atmosphere. The type of places that I honestly never thought I'd ever be able to get into. But Woodward Sports has its perks.
Sam Flannel, it's a great experience because we were here last year as well, and it was a great event. Shout out to our friends over at Feldman for kind of helping us be out here. Joey as well for his part in all of this. We're going to have an interview in about 10 minutes here to talk to a very special somebody. Again, that person is Margaret Cooney Casey, the president of Corewell Health Foundation of Southeast Michigan. We'll be talking to her in about 10 minutes. But before we do any of that, I do want to bring up to you, Sam Flannel, some news that happened over the weekend. Obviously, the Lions played the preseason game on Friday. Roster cuts.
Oh, yeah.
A lot more guys need to be cut, too, before tomorrow at about, I believe it's 4 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. They've already made their cuts that they needed to make. I want to go through some of them. If you guys, there you go. You have the graphic. So far, released, we'll just go through release. Christian Covington, defensive lineman. Offensive lineman Bobby Hart. Offensive lineman Jermaine Ifedi, which to me is kind of a surprise. Wide receiver Jason Moore. Running back Devin Ozigbo. So those are the guys that were released. Christian Covington had a sack in Friday's preseason game, but this needed to be done. No surprises yet, besides Jermaine Ifedi, I guess. Waived. Wide receiver Trinity Benson. Wide receiver Avery Davis. Easy. Offensive lineman was eased. Waived as well. The guy from who's been really making a lot of noise last Hard Knocks. We got to see him on display. A guy that was very raw. He did a lot of more work. Didn't seem to be working out. He's waived. He might rejoin the practice squad. We'll see. Tight end Daniel Helm. Offensive lineman Alex Mollett. Safety Scott Nelson. And then offensive lineman Darren Paulo. And, of course, cornerback Colby Richardson. So nobody too significant yet. A lot more cuts are going to be made. Starling Thomas. Stephen Gilmore, the guys that people are falling in love with. Chase Cota, Dylan Drummond. These guys are safe, but so far, Sam Flannel, any surprises? Because to me, it's Jermaine Ifedi, if there's one.
I mean, Jermaine Ifedi, he was a former first-round draft pick. He's just a guy that hasn't really worked out. But I would probably say if there's one surprise, and I'm going to get into him a little bit later to tie into another player, I would say Christian Covington. Christian Covington, he's made a couple of plays in preseason. He's a veteran. He was signed for cheap. The defensive line, at least the interior, is still, I would say, relatively thin compared to the rest of the league. He's the one, I would say, on that list that I was a little bit like, okay, he didn't even make that round of cuts. But other than that, it's just the usual suspects. Trinity Benson, Jason Moore. I remember when he got signed, I think he came in with 5 career catches. Obina Eze, who honestly, unfortunately, in Hard Knocks last year was one of those where I'm like, ooh, he's definitely not making this team. I mean, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Nothing to be sad about right now, but there's still going to be some more. There are going to be some cuts in the future that I believe will have a few of us having some questions, and we'll get to more of those when we talk about winners and losers from the preseason game.
And it's not just roster moves as in who's getting released or waived. Brad Holmes also made a phone call to the 49ers for Trey Lance. Lucas. I didn't do it. Your GM did, Brad Holmes. Made a call to the San Francisco 49ers and at least inquired Sam Flannel about Trey Lance. Now, a deal wasn't made. Dallas Cowboys came in, offered a 4th-round pick. Now, Dak, your man, he's frustrated, rightfully so, to be honest with you. What are your thoughts on that? Brad Holmes making the phone call. I don't actually mind it. I don't.
I don't mind it either. This idea that Trey Lance, I mean, obviously, if from the perspective of the San Francisco 49ers, he's one of the biggest busts in NFL history. He's one of the few, I would say, black marks on the John Lynch legacy right now. The 49ers actually had more bad picks than you think, but still, they're a damn good franchise. Been to a couple Super Bowls recently. But then, at the same time, Trey Lance, he's a guy who has a lot of talent. He hasn't gotten a lot of usage, even in high school and college in the NFL. I read a stat, I read it about a week or two ago, where Trey Lance combined in high school, college, and the NFL had less pass attempts than Geno Smith did last year. So Trey Lance, he is a guy who has talent. He could be that reclamation project, and for very cheap for a 4th-round pick, I wouldn't have minded. I don't mind Brad Holmes at least making the call, and the fact that I guess the Cowboys made a better offer. It's no harm, no foul. But Trey Lance, I'm not convinced that he's just some bum for life. The evidence shows so far that he is, but he also had some injuries. But I will say this. Is it good news that he couldn't beat out Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold? No, absolutely not.
Yeah, and again, for the whole Brad Holmes thing, and I know people were quick to kind of write off Trey Lance, I still feel the same about him as I do, a week ago and the week before that and the week before that. The 49ers took a quarterback you needed to be patient with, and they are a win-now roster. Those two things do not coincide. It's different. There's a difference in opinion. That's why a Justin Fields or a Mac Jones, even hell, would have been a better option, because you get a guy that can play right away and contribute. Now, Trey Lance, we knew he was a project. Everybody liked his upside. Should the 49ers have traded multiple first-round picks to get him? No. I think they should have stayed put and either taken Justin Fields or Trey up and get Justin Fields. That sounds pretty obvious to me. Now, what intrigues me about this whole situation is you have an asset in Trey Lance who is at its lowest point. The stock is at its lowest point. I mean, they bought him for a 4th-round pick. Yeah. A 4th-round pick for a guy who's taken number 3 overall, who doesn't even have, 300 snaps in the NFL. So for the Dallas Cowboys, maybe this is another look for them for a guy like Jalen Hurts in practice. Who knows what this is? Could it be leverage with contract negotiations with Dak Prescott? It could be. But the fact that Brad called the 49ers and just inquired, I appreciate that, because that's something you don't really see. It feels like Lions fans for a long time have always been clamoring to get in these conversations, even though Trey Lance, I agree they should not have traded for him, especially you have Hendon Hooker now. But the fact is, they inquired.
Sure.
Which I respect. I respect a GM who picks up the phone. That's my takeaway, Sam. Not even about Trey Lance, but the fact that Brad's making phone calls, I appreciate it.
Pick up the phone and start dialing, as Leonardo DiCaprio would say in The Wolf of Wall Street. But yeah, no, that's a great point. There is obviously a very, very good chance that Trey Lance is just not an NFL quarterback. That's what the evidence showed you in San Francisco. But like you said, it was a team that's in win-now mode. Trey Lance is obviously a project. He didn't get a lot of usage pretty much his whole career. He had a season basically taken away during the COVID year. I think he played just one game. It was very, very weird. He had a season missed all last year, basically all of last year due to injury. I think he played basically a game and a half. But there's also a chance that Trey Lance could reclaim his career with someone else. And if Dak Prescott is as bad as everybody on this show says he is, then maybe Trey Lance will get some snaps with the Cowboys. Obviously, that probably won't happen, but still, I think he was definitely worth a flyer. And the fact that the Lions, even though they already have Teddy Bridgewater, even though they already have Hendon Hooker, I guess you can never have too much quarterback depth. And Trey Lance, he has an upside. Everybody acknowledges that he has an upside, and who knows? Maybe he is the quarterback of the future for the Cowboys. I would tend to doubt it, but still, he's very talented.
LFG says price for Lance must have been too rich for Brad Holmes. And again, I know people are talking Paul Thomas. Trey Lance with a question mark. Trust me, I'm not interested in an actual trade for Trey Lance, but the point I'm taking away is at least Brad made the phone call. Another thing, though, I want to discuss, which we're going to get into later in the show, again, who impressed and who disappointed in the Friday preseason game, some takeaways, and trust me, this wide receiver room, and we're going to break all this down and more with Lucas tomorrow, but how deep that wide receiver room is, at least now. Now, it doesn't, I'm not saying star talent, but just solid dudes. Like, you're going to have to cut a wide receiver that some team's going to pick up, like a Dylan Drummond or a Chase Cota. Those guys are solid. Now, they're not great. But the fact that they're all battling for the same spot It's going to be interesting. Antoine Green showed out on Friday as well, a guy that we've been waiting for. He made some noise as well. We'll talk about that at 8:30. 8:45, Jeff Risdon shared his surprising cut for the Detroit Lions. You're going to want to know. You're going to want to see who it is. I'm telling you, it's interesting. We're going to have a debate on who he thinks the Lions will cut, a surprising cut. 9 o'clock, we'll talk about some moves we think Brad should make moving forward, especially with roster cuts just right around the corner. What kind of signings are you expecting? And then 9:15, I got to go over a graphic, a Lions prediction. They go through what they think game by game. This isn't us, somebody else. What they think the Lions' record will be this season. We're going to get through that and more. Then obviously at 9:30, we got short takes, or short takes with long drink. That's how this works. 9:30, which we'll have our takes ready, and then 9:45, of course, we'll get to what's trending. But before we do any of that, I do want to say quickly, too, appreciate everyone for joining. Don't forget, hit the like button on the stream. Subscribe if you haven't already. We just hit over 47,000 subscribers, so that's big time. It is. It truly is. And as well, yesterday I had my fantasy draft. And yet tomorrow I want to go through and show it off. And I want you guys to grade me. It's a 10-man league. Some of these picks are confusing. All right, I got Herbert and Trevor Lawrence.
Ooh.
All right, I know. It's a 10-man league. We'll get to it. We'll talk about it, that and much more. But we're going to go to break. When we get back, we have a very, very special interview with a special guest, Tom McGannon, the Vice President of Communication for Corewell Health Foundation in Southeast Michigan. We'll have him on. We'll talk about the event itself and much more. But until we do that, I got to hear about our friends from Randy Wise. Do we have the read? All right, well, let me tell you about our friends from the Academy of Warren, because I can do that right now. Brand new state-of-the-art sports dome field house as a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, and soccer field, which can also be used for 7-on-7 football. They got a futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, academic games, and K-8 athletics. Don't forget, Ermanni and Edwards will be back down there eventually. They were just down there last week, and the Academy of Warren is now accepting new enrollment. All you got to do is go to the academyofwarren.net for more information.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Sports marketing agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com. I repeat, thesportsma.com for more information. Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, Lucas Klotz, JB joining you all this morning. We have a very special guest, our good friend of the show, Tom McGannon, the Vice President of Communication for Corewell Health Foundation of Southeast Michigan. First of all, thank you for joining us. How are you doing this morning, Tom?
Good morning. It's a great morning here at the Detroit
really
Golf Club.
It really is.
Couldn't be better.
No, it could not be. And again, I want to say first, thank you for taking the time to join the show. We're so happy to be down here, obviously from the help of our friends over at Feldman. But first, supporting such a great cause, number one. Just kind of talk about the highlights of the event, the fundraising impact, and what makes this specific event so special.
This is a 1 + 1 = 3 event. Know that we have a great contingent of celebrity supporters. We start with our partners, the Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation. And, of course, Mark and his brothers are among the celebrities. And then we have 60 more celebrities who have donated their time. This is millions of dollars of in-kind value of these celebrities all coming to Metro Detroit for this event today. Mix that together with a great charity, Children's Miracle Network and Corewell Health. You know that company is Beaumont, of course.
Right.
And the amount of kids we help in the community, we help more than 200,000 kids every year at all of our locations. And then a great fundraising committee and just these special touches. We will raise today, hopefully, $1.5 million.
Wow.
We've already raised $1 million.
1.5.
Yeah.
1.5 million. Wow. That is absolutely incredible. And I have to ask you this, because I come into a place like this and I look at the list of the people who are going to be here. You got Mark and Donnie Wahlberg. You've got Karan Butler, Calvin Johnson, even David Henry for all you old school fans of Wizards of Waverly Place. Kevin James. I'm a big King of Queens guy, so this is really, really awesome. So how cool is that all of these celebrities and all of these like special guests are on board, and the fact that you were able to get all these guys?
It's amazing that we have great connections both through the Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation, through some of our sponsors. Jay Feldman and Feldman Automotive has a number of these contacts as well. And we all put our heads together and we put our shoulders to the grindstone, and we connected to everyone we knew, and 60 plus celebrities said, you know what, let me help.
Wow, that is unreal.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you too, specifically just so for people that don't know, exactly where the money goes, who it helps, how it helps, and some of the impact that, people showing up and giving to such a great cause. Where does it go?
Sure.
Exactly.
So we hopefully will raise $1.5 million today, and we split that money in half. So we keep 50% of that stays right here in Metro Detroit, and that goes through all of our Children's Miracle Network supported programs at Beaumont Children's and Corewell Health as well. So that buys things like specially adapted bikes. The idea that maybe a kid that won't get a typical bike, but we're able to purchase these special therapy bikes that help exercise their legs and arms.
Right.
And they get to ride with their siblings, and they get to ride with their friends in their neighborhood. And we have an event called Bike Day that we do every year, and we award more than 100 of these free bikes, and they cost $2,500 to $5,000 a piece. And we give them to all these patients for free. And it's the best thing we do. You can see the kids are just the biggest smiles on their face, and their parents, they're kind of emotional. They never thought they'd see their child ride a bike. And we fund that with the money from today's event.
See, that's huge. And again, I want to say on behalf of Woodward Sports, thank you and for the great work you guys are doing. I mean, you see it here, the amount of support that this event will get, and again, your involvement and everything and so forth. I do want to say some things for people that don't know, because shout out to Joey for getting me some of this interesting information as well. Corewell Health's Beaumont Children's is the only children's Miracle Network hospital in Southeast Michigan. Beaumont Children's serves more than 200,000 children annually in a 9-county region. And I want to say, too, this is the third year the Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation and the Children's Miracle Network at Beaumont's Children have partnered to host a fundraising event. The event was previously hosted for 31 years as a Beaumont's Children Miracle Classic. So there you go. I want to say thanks, Tom, for joining the show. We appreciate the work you do, and hopefully we can do this again. Have you back on.
I hope so, and your viewers can certainly log on to beaumont.org/give, and they can help us reach that $1.5 million goal today as well. So
absolutely.
Please give.
All right. Well, there you have it.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what. We'll go to break. When we get back, we'll get into more Detroit Lions, but there you go. There you have it. Tom McGannon. Again, thank you, the Vice President of Communication and for Corewell Health Foundation in Southeast Michigan. We'll see you after the break.
Fellas, let's be honest. We like things to be easy. We like simple stuff, like sports 7 days a week. We like things uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Have you ever argued with your little brother? How about some random guy you're stuck in a room with for an hour? Flannel Sam and Spencer Raxter are at each other's throats. One Spartan alumni and one Walmart Wolverine are locked in a room with nowhere to hide. You're welcome. Whether it's go blue or go green, you can go to woodwardsports.com for all the action. Coming soon to a device near you.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Again, we just got done talking to our guy Tom McGannon, the Vice President of Communication for Colwell Health Foundation in Southeast Michigan. Some of the impact that this event makes, just an overall, because, people see where we're at, they see the cause, but when you really get to speak to guys like Tom, he gives you the details, and you get to know right where this money's going, which I think is important when you donate to any charity. Tom told you, and it's going to go back to help a ton of children. So again, we're here at the Feldman Automotive Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational, benefiting Beaumont's children and Mark Wahlberg, his youth foundation. So a ton of celebrities, and I want to go through. You kind of got through some of them already, but for people at home that don't really know, Kenny Anderson, O.J. Anderson. You got Sada Baby, and for those who live in Detroit, Tommy Hearns as well. I saw. I even saw Kevin James on here. Kevin James as well. Spencer Haywood.
Big Queens guy.
Yeah, no, big David Henry, like you mentioned. Tom Izzo. Kevin James, like I said, Kelvin Johnson. There's a lot of Johnny Kane from locally here. So a lot of variants of celebrities, but again, everybody coming together for one cause, and that's to give back to charity and help the children. So it's amazing. It's an amazing event, Sam. It really
Absolutely.
is.
That question you asked about like where the money goes and everything, I think that really took the audience behind the curtain of just like you can quantify these. This is saving lives. These are making these children's therapies just like that much easier and better, giving them some joy. It's just an unbelievable cause. And you also mentioned all the celebrities that are involved. How good does it feel? It feels kind of weird as a Michigan fan, but still, we might as well call him friend of the show, Tom Izzo, at this point.
I know it's an annual thing when we talk to Tom that you have to confront him about his Spartans with your Michigan Wolverines. So I love that. It's a good banter here. I want to get into some of the preseason action we got to see on Friday. Lions take on the Panthers. You got to see Bryce Young.
Yeah.
He threw his first touchdown pass to Adam Thielen, Lucas's boy. And for those who can't hear, Lucas said to who. I don't want to hear it. But you know what, though? A lot of guys did show that they belong on this roster. One of those guys, Stephen Gilmore.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I think they got a stud in Stephen Gilmore.
Yes.
I really do believe that. They got a monster game. For people that don't really understand the type of impact he had, for those who are watching the game, you just look at what a guy like what Stephen Gilmore did. He had the pick six, obviously, but on top of that, what do you have, 4 pass deflections?
Yeah.
5 tackles? And that was funny because his first preseason game we watched, and, Lucas broke down the film, and you can check that out on Woodward Sports on Twitter. One of the things you noticed with Stephen Gilmore, it was simple mistakes. It wasn't like he was out of position completely, but it was simple errors he was making. And Lucas pointed it out. For example, having his head turned the wrong way on the deep ball that he gave up against the Giants, if I'm not mistaken. The Jags. And then he corrects that. And you see him in the following preseason week get even better. This is a guy that I don't want to say I put on the radar, but, we talked about a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, Stephen Gilmore, the only really criticism for a guy like Stephen is his size.
Sure.
He's a $175. That was his question mark. You didn't hear anything about technique. You didn't hear anything about potential. You didn't hear anything about skill. It was like, hey, he's just got to gain weight. But Sam Flannel, screw the weight. The guy can play. Stephen Gilmore can play.
Stephen Gilmore deserves a round of applause with how he's been playing lately.
He's a dog.
Because quite frankly, in the last preseason game at Carolina, Stephen Gilmore was the best player on the field for the Detroit Lions, and to me, it wasn't even close. Stephen Gilmore came into this preseason with the objective of playing his way onto a roster, and I think at this point, he has. You guys mentioned the 4 pass deflections, the pick 6, to go along with the interception he had in the game before, in which he also had a big pass deflection at the goal line.
He did.
And in the one big play that he gave up, he had good coverage for the most part. He just had his head turned the wrong way. If he had his head turned the right way, that probably would have been another pass deflection. And even with that one long pass he gave up, do you know what his passer rating allowed when targeted was in this entire preseason?
Talk to me, Sam. What was it?
37.
Oh, geez.
Is that good?
That's not even good. That's elite.
and this is, remember, guys, this is a very, very deep secondary. And I think Stephen Gilmore has given Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes no choice but to put him on this roster. If we're going to say that preseason matters for that, then Stephen Gilmore has to get a roster spot at this point, because it has been Gilmore Island. He's looked like Stephon Gilmore, like prime Stephon Gilmore, but Stephen Gilmore this preseason. I mean, is that off base? Am I drinking too much Kool-Aid?
Well, yes, but you know what? We'll save that because it's fair. You're drinking Kool-Aid.
Yes.
Stephen Gilmore, there's reason to be excited. I mean, Brad Holmes, tip my cap to you.
Yes.
Once again, finding an undrafted free agent, a guy who could play. I mean, Jerry Jacobs, he did this last year. A.J. Parker, who wasn't on the roster but still contributed. I mean, he's finding guys that are undrafted free agents that are contributors. That's important.
Sure.
Like, it's one thing to find guys in the draft, but for guys that don't make a roster, don't get even touched in the draft, and you sign them as an undrafted free agent and they still make an impact, a lot of the NFL, there's a lot of guys that find ways in the NFL, make careers for themselves as undrafted free agents. It's having the right general manager to find and seek those guys out. Brad has shown the ability to do that. And right now with, a guy like a Stephen Gilmore, a Starling Thomas V, a Dylan Drummond who drove himself to rookie minicamp to try out. Those guys now, Sam Flannel before, it's like, okay, you're bringing in guys that, are bodies that have some upside. Now you're struggling to make a decision. And Dan said it best, you're going to have to cut some good players. But that's what good teams do.
Absolutely. And before I get to that, I got to talk to you about the newest Lions show, and that, of course, is Woodward in Maine. It features Matt Broder, our very own on Morning Woodward Show, Gabrielle D. Phillips, and Uncle T, Terry Foster, breaking down everything Lions related. And it airs every Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and Sundays from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. If you want all of the best Lions insider information from people who are there at training camp every day, Broder, Gabrielle D. Phillips, and one of the all-time greats, a veteran in this industry, Terry Foster. He has seen it all. Tune in when that premieres. That is a very, very exciting show. And you mentioned something that I thought was interesting, and you teased it right off the show with the wide receivers. Someone who had a good preseason is probably going to get cut, because I would say Chase Cota and Dylan Drummond, they pretty much showed out this preseason, at least given what their expectations were, particularly Chase Cota. But speaking of not undrafted, but a 7th-round draft pick who showed out, what about Antoine Green?
Yes.
To me, Antoine Green, he's another one, just like Stephen Gilmore. With this game that he had against Carolina, he should have played his way onto this roster, because to me, he is much more talented than Chase Cota and Dylan Drummond. And for the record, even Antoine Green last year at North Carolina, he had a pretty damn good yards per game. He only played 9 games. I think he had almost 800 yards last year for North Carolina. And you saw what he can bring to this team. He caught that pass, and you saw his speed. He was pretty much gone. If it wasn't for questions about his route running, he probably would have been above a 7th-round pick. I'm not going to say that Antoine Green is going to be this huge contributor or anything, but in a lot of ways, especially when Jamison Williams is out, he kind of gives you exactly what you need. He could give you what Denzel Mims was supposed to give you, but that ultimately turned out into a failure. And he's another one. We haven't heard a lot about him, even in training camp. We've heard some good things. We've also heard some kind of meh things. But he showed out. He did what he could do to get on this roster, and I think he earned a spot. I would rather see him than Chase Cota and Dylan Drummond at this point because of the upside and because of that big playability, which he showed. You saw it in person, that speed.
Yeah, and especially with Jamison being out the first 6 games, I'm all for Antoine and Dylan Drummond. I'm out on Chase Cota. And Chase Cota and I know not that he's a bad player, but if we're choosing 2, give me Antoine Green and Dylan Drummond. They show they can do more. I know Chase Cota showed at least early in the preseason, like you catches some touchdown passes, like that's great. But Antoine has shown the speed in which he plays with. You saw it in the open field. When he caught that football, he was gone. And that's what I look for. Speed kills. Antoine Green is a 7th-round pick. I like what he can do on the outside. I like his upside. Not that, he's a 7th-round pick, but still a guy that you can use. Some depth at wide receiver. And then Dylan Drummond, I like Dylan Drummond. Mm-hmm. Like, the guy's more versatile.
He's got a
me
bag
and Lucas
with
talked
him.
about this last week. The guy could just do more. That was Lucas's guy, actually, for that exact reason. A little more versatile. And I like Chase Cota because of the size, but Lucas is right. I mean, and I don't say that a lot. But he's right.
Would you say I'm a ball knower? A knower of ball?
Well, Lucas is right. Dylan Drummond, I like him a lot. Those 2 guys, Sam Flannel, I'm sold on him. Chase Cota, stay on the practice squad. He could be the TK85. He's floating in between the roster and
that
the
touchdown that
the
he dropped
squad.
on, was it Friday night? That was an ugly drop.
Yeah.
Like, the ball sat in his
That was
hand
bad.
for a second before it
That
hit
was
the ground.
bad.
Like, you could see the ball. Like, it stopped moving in his hands, and then it fell to the ground. And that's just – give me Drummond and Green all day.
Well, and you can't have that happen if you're Chase Cota.
Exactly.
Obviously, Chase Cota has made some big plays this preseason. Even the game he played at Carolina, he was, I believe, the 2nd leading receiver in terms of yards in that game. But when Antoine Green shows out, when Dylan Drummond pretty much gives you, for the most part, exactly what you've heard from training camp, but maybe a little bit lower than that. But still, I would probably agree with you. I'd probably take Antoine Green and Dylan Drummond over Chase Cota. Speaking of 7th-round draft picks who I would say maybe played their way onto a roster in this roster spot in this preseason game, how about Chase Lucas? Chase Lucas is a guy that we haven't really heard a whole lot of. I know he was a bit of an unsung hero when it comes to Hard Knocks last year, but he didn't really do a whole lot. He was one of the few rookies that didn't really get a lot of playing time.
Right.
And you haven't heard a lot of him in this training camp because the secondary is so deep, and at some point you almost assume that Chase Lucas isn't going to get a roster spot. But he said, not so fast. He had 3 pass deflections of his own. He had an interception of his own. And even in this preseason, Chase Lucas has allowed a passer rating when targeted of 41.
A lot lower than Will Harris.
Oh, my goodness. You know, we're going to get to Will Harris in just a minute.
If Chase Lucas makes the roster over Will Harris, I will be going down to Allen Park, and there will be issues. There will be issues in Allen Park if Will Harris makes this roster.
You said if Will Harris what?
If he makes the roster.
Over?
Chase Lucas. If he just makes the roster in general.
Okay, that...
Dude, what has Will Harris done since he's been in Detroit?
No, and trust me, I'm not going to sit here and defend Will Harris, but he's at least proven more than a Chase Lucas.
Listen, and I get he's proven more than Chase Lucas, but
I like Chase Lucas, to your point. I do.
But Adam Thielen, during this preseason game, they threw a back shoulder fade to him. He dropped it. Through his hands, there was a dot by Bryce Young, and they were targeting Will Harris. You know what they said? Two plays later, we're going to load it up and do the exact same thing. Adam, you're going to catch it this time is for a touchdown. I don't see what Will Harris can contribute to this Lions defense that he has not tried already. He's already switched his position. They've already tried to make this guy work.
Yeah, no, you're right about that.
It has not worked. The only thing he's done is force a fumble. I think it was against the Giants last year.
Yeah, no, and trust me, you're not off on that. Will Harris, he's an experiment that just continues to fail. And
it's insanity.
Insanity. Trying to do the exact same thing, but getting and expecting a different result.
Yep.
And obviously the Lions have gotten the same result. Will Harris turns out to be burnt toast. Quite often. So, it is what it is. I'll tell you what, we'll go to break. We'll get back. We'll get into some more Lions here. But, Sam, I got to hear about our friends over at Lady Jane's.
Oh, absolutely, where I get this awesome haircut that I still have to this day. And like I always say when I go to remote events, even if I needed to drive all the way back to Birmingham to get this haircut looking good like it always does, I would go to Lady Jane's because they always have the best stylists. I go to pretty much all of them. It does not matter which. I don't discriminate, and you could go in to walk in anytime. No appointment necessary. Open 10 to 8 Monday through Sunday. It's wicked awesome.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Play, practice, party, putt, pretty much anything you want golf related at 5irongolf.com. They got 13 TrackMan simulators, lessons, league, bar, restaurant. You can pretty much do everything you want at 5-Iron Golf. It's just like playing golf, and with the weather about to turn not so nice in a couple of months, 5-Iron Golf is where you are going to want to go. Located inside the Cambria Hotel in downtown Detroit. Woodward Sports also hosts the Woodward Golf League every Thursday night from 5 to 7 p.m. I've been there. Jeff Iafrate's been there. Lucas Klotz has been there. I think we would all agree it is a great time. Griffin and Brady, our salespeople, do an awesome job getting it set up. Mark White was there last year. I even ran into MF and Jester in the chat. He was a great guy. We had some good conversation. But yes, join the Woodward Golf League, or you can visit 5-Iron Golf anytime you want. And if you want want more information, visit their website, 5irongolf.com.
By the way, nobody wants to see us golf. You just don't. Neil Rule. And by the way, I got to address something.
Uh-oh.
Neil Rule called me out on Friday.
He did. In a significant way. He used
Hold on. Let me turn the
so
chair.
nice words.
Let me turn the chair. Okay? Neil Rule called me a bitch.
Oh.
All right?
And flat out bitch.
It made
Double
me,
down.
I was dead. Dead, dude. And Spencer at BMG, everyone was dying. Lindsay as well. What'd I do to you, Neil? What'd I do to you? All right? And by the way, Neil's a mentor of mine. I love Neil. I appreciate him. And this is almost like he's got a big brother in me a little bit. It's like he knows, all right, I got this little pup here. He's trying to learn in this business. I got to keep him humble. And I actually appreciate that. I do. That's why I love Neil. But damn. Neil let me have it on Friday, dude. Over a B.
That was comedy.
And
he looked fed up, too.
He was done.
Flat out.
He was done. He said, you know what? Jeff Iafrate's a bitch. He said that flat out.
He said that.
He said it. Am I gonna come back and fire at Neil? No, I'm not. Because I'm gonna take the high road here.
There you go.
Everything he said is fair, especially about the bees. Because listen, who am I to speak on it, Sam Flannel? There was a bee by me. I dodged the bee. I did not stand there like a man and take a sting. All right, so I can't. I got nothing. But Neil Rule, I just want to let you know, I heard it. All right, I heard it. But it is what it is. It's in the past. We got to move on.
Unfortunately, as you guys know, probably in this entire radius, if you mess up, if you have one of those moments where maybe it's not your finest, don't do it in front of Neil Rule, because he will let you know about it for the rest of time. And anybody knows that no human being, probably at this entire station, probably in the history of his career, has had more battles with Neil Rule than yours truly. Who has two thumbs in his head, knockdown dragouts with Neil Rule on the daily? This guy. So I understand your pain, but Neil Rule that's the thing though, because he's so good at what he does, and he is a mentor of mine as well. He was one of the people that gave me a voice. We have an on-air frenemy shit, but definitely a great relationship off-air. I just don't like him calling my man a bitch.
Finals man.
He did this is not a joke. He said it with conviction too.
Yeah. If you didn't see it, go to Friday's Big D Energy episode. It's at
it was about the halfway mark or something like that. We were in the back. We were working in the office as a dispo, and we had it on the TV, and it was breaking news to me. I did not hear this. I was not aware of this. And if anyone knows Neil Rule better, it's you, because you've literally thrown your headphones in the audio booth because of Neil Rule.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. You've I don't know what those headphones are broken or not, but Neil Rule has triggered you.
Yes.
Now Neil hasn't triggered me. I mean, he's triggered me, but not to the extent of for example, the Hollywood stuff. It is what it is. I appreciate Neil. I love Neil, and I'm gonna be the bigger person in this scenario. I'm not gonna call him a B word. All right, but I just want to mention it. It was funny. And it was honestly hilarious. I can't even lie. And Spencer, by the way, he said, "Am I wrong?" And Spencer and Mike did not say a word.
Tell me I'm wrong.
He said, "Tell me I'm wrong." And Spencer and BMG did not say a word. I don't need to hear anything else. They agree with that statement.
Just take those mental receipts. I know that Spencer and BMG are writers at this network, but they didn't write for you that time, so it is a little bit disappointing. But at the same time, Neil Rule, when he does his shtick, it's just so damn funny.
Look at this one. Chuck says, "I'm winning Jeff's quarter 99% of the time, but on this one, Neil was right." See, Chuck, that's fair. Neil was right. I'm not saying what he said was wrong at all. It was actually correct 100%. Compared to Neil, Neil said there's two B's. He sit there and just took it. Neil just sitting there from Washington Township, two furnaces, I'm rich, starting up the range with his remote keys. Neil's elite. All right, so I'm not going to come at Neil. How dare I? But I wanted to bring that up. Shout out to Neil. That was hilarious.
Yes.
If you want to go back and watch it, it was on Friday. Big D Energy about halfway through.
An hour and 43 minutes.
You got the exact timestamp. Yeah,
you have the exact timestamp.
Me and Spenny remembered that. I probably watched that 2 or 3 times over this weekend.
Of course, Lucas. Of course, Lucas loved it.
Motivation.
Of course, you loved it.
Motivation.
Motivation.
Don't be that guy.
Okay. All right. It is what it is. Let's say Jake says in BMG's defense he doesn't talk until he's pushed to do so. Yeah, that's fair. Joey 2 times says Juicy would take everyone except Braylon and D-Mac. Joey's got my back.
Hey.
You obviously forgot about Lucas in that statement.
Yeah, shut up, Lucas. All right, I'll tell you what. We'll go to break in a little bit here, and I want to show and kind of talk about Jeff Risdon's surprising cut because you guys are going to want to know who it is. I don't think anybody's thinking of it. Maybe you are. Whoever you think it is, put it in the chat, and we'll see if it's correct. I was shocked when I saw who Jeff Risdon thought the Lions are going to cut or think they're going to cut, and we have till tomorrow to find out. I don't know if I agree with this one, Sam, but I want to get your thoughts on it as well. But before we do that, I got to hear about our friends, which I could tell you about, at Guardian Alarm. Because, guys, you want the best defense? You want an elite defense? Neil Rule has an elite defense because he can afford it. It's Guardian Alarm with his 2 furnaces. Your professional or their professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. They got 24/7 professional monitoring. They got technology backed by people. All you got to do is call 1-800-STAY-OUT today. Tell them your friends at Woodward Sports sent you. That is 1-800-STAY-OUT. And we'll see you after the break.
Losers, pushes and draws, over-unders, prop bets, futures and spreads. Are you sick and tired of your picks being losers? Do you want to learn how to bet like a champion? Well, Woodward Sports searched the globe for the most dangerous man with a bet slip in his hand and gave him a show. Coming soon to Woodward Sports. Tune in every weekend as we introduce the greatest gambler to ever walk the earth.
Hi, I'm Booner, and I don't lose.
How would you like a 100K Vegas getaway? Take your closest friends and live it up in the city that never sleeps. It's a Cintron Energy. Drink it and live it. Again, guys, the 100K Vegas getaway. Head to drinkcintron.com/Vegas or buy a Cintron at your local miner store. You're entered to win. Could be you. You could be going on the 100K Vegas getaway with some friends. Why not? You know, go have some fun before it gets cold here in Michigan. But we're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Appreciate you guys for sticking with us. Don't forget, hit the like button on the video. We're almost at 100 likes currently on the stream. And don't forget as well, subscribe because we just hit 47,000 subscribers. It's big time. Appreciate every single one of you. You guys are the reason we're able to do things like this. So it is truly, truly big time. Now, I want to get into the surprising cut by Jeff Risdon. People are already chiming in. I've seen some Julian Okoras. I've seen some. I've seen a Jason Kabinda. I've seen a Vaitai. Not going to attempt to say his whole name like Matt Broder. I've seen Isaiah Buggs or Kamish. I've seen a Will Harris. Yeah, I don't think.
No, if that happens,
Kamish ain't getting cut.
I would freak out if John Kaminsky got cut.
But I'll tell you who it is. So Jeff Risdon wrote an article, LionsWire.com. and talked about who he thinks the surprising cut for the Detroit Lions will be. And I know, Sam Flannel, you've already seen it.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Risdon has the Detroit Lions cutting former second-round pick Levi Onwuzurike. Potentially. And Lucas is smiling. I don't like that.
It's not like a smile because I don't think it would make any sense. But I think it would be like, I could see why they would cut him, but for me, the fact that he's a second-round pick that really hasn't shown anything, it'd be idiotic to cut him. But I could see, like, I could understand it, but at the same time, like, not right now. I think there's much more cut-worthy players out there than.
I would agree with that.
And that's kind of where I'm at too. And I want to read some of the what Jeff specifically wrote in this article, so we get some clarification on it, just to kind of get his thoughts. And he writes, a second-round pick in the 2021 draft, Onwuzurike showed some promise and considerable athletic potential as a rookie. However, he missed the 2022 season after undergoing back surgery. Onwuzurike is healthy again, but has been outplayed by lesser-known players like Benito Jones and Christian Covington. Well, Covington was just cut, so I don't know about that one, but love you, Jeff. There's still potential with Onwuzurike, but he might have to explore that with another team. And now people are already chiming in, and again, Joey 2 times says it's not totally crazy in my opinion. Sebastian said Levi looked great against the Panthers. And then I see other people chiming in. Steve says cut Harris, keep Levi O. Ryan says, surprised that man's cut. Eric Allen says, wow, Lucas is right. And Real Cream of Wheat says, I can see it too. Jesse Adams says, I'm pretty sure I told you that 4 weeks ago. Well, Jesse, I don't want to hear it. All right. I refuse. All right. Because I'll tell you what, for Levi Onwuzurike, I'm not saying I'm shocked because we talk about the depth this defensive line has. And you look at some of the guys that could be victim of potentially getting cut and be a victim of that or a cap casualty, however you want to say it. It could be Levi Onwuzurike. But again, there is some potential there, Sam, that I don't know if I'm okay with letting go. We haven't really seen Levi. We've seen him partially, and then he missed an entire sophomore season. Maybe there's something there. I don't think they should cut him, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did. Does that make sense?
Well, it makes sense, and I have some major thoughts on the Levi Onwuzurike selection for Jeff Riston as his surprise cuts. But before I get into that, where did Levi Onwuzurike go to college? Washington. He was a Husky. And speaking of college, Woodward Sports' love of college football. Do you love college football? Well, Woodward Sports loves college football. That's why we're bringing you Woodward Sports for the Love of College Football pregame show, the latest WSN show to tune into on the YouTube channel. Spencer Raxter, myself, Flannel Sam, Easy, and many more get you ready for college football kickoff premiering live on September 2nd every Saturday morning from 8:30 to 10 a.m. on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. Whether you're a Sparty, Wolverine, or a fan of the other team that we won't mention, Lucas, we welcome you all to start your day of loving college football with Woodward Sports Network every year. Sorry, Lucas, I gotta always
baby. Go Bucks, baby.
I always gotta throw that in there, but that is all right. So, Levi Onwuzurike, let me get this straight. Levi Onwuzurike, to me, has been the best interior defensive lineman in the preseason for the Detroit Lions. I don't know who's been watching Benito Jones and Christian Covington outplay him. And I get it. Benito Jones and Christian Covington have made plays. They have not outplayed Levi Onwuzurike. Levi Onwuzurike should certainly be on this roster just for what he's done in the preseason. I know he has some injury concerns, and maybe if that's the reason, it could be a little bit of a surprise. But Levi Onwuzurike this preseason, 5 pressures, 4 hurries, 2 tackles for loss, and has been their best defensive lineman, as I would say, when it comes to the interior. And when you look at players that need to certainly be considered to be cut before Levi Onwuzurike, you've got Will Harris. If Will Harris makes the roster and Levi Onwuzurike
Lucas
does not,
is happy.
I
Keep
will
it
riot.
coming, Flannel. You're on fire so far.
And I'm glad that you mentioned earlier the passer rating allowed of Will Harris when targeted, 124.2.
Dude, that's
insane.
I think the perfect pass rating is like 148, or it might be 135.
It's 151.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're spot on.
158.3. There it is.
Yes. And then you know who else definitely needs to get cut before Levi Onwuzurike, if we're being fair. Starling Thomas.
Yeah.
I think Starling Thomas has, unfortunately, as great of a camp as he allegedly had, has played his way off this roster in the preseason because he has also allowed a passer rating of over 100 when targeted. And with how Stephen Gilmore and Chase Lucas have emerged, I definitely want to see Starling Thomas probably at least make the practice squad. He has potential, but he didn't earn it. And I'll tell you what, too, and a lot of people aren't going to like this. Levi Onwuzurike in this preseason has been eons better than one Broderick Martin, who himself has been very disappointing this preseason.
Don't do that.
I will do that. I will do that with Broderick Martin because he hasn't done anything stopping the run. He hasn't provided anything in the pass rush. He has basically been an irrelevant non-factor. And Levi Onwuzurike has actually done a whole hell of a lot. And no, I'm not saying Broderick Martin should be cut. I'm just saying
do it.
he's been disappointing. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's just a guy. I know a lot of people have been sipping a lot of Brad Holmes Kool-Aid, as have I, who think we got Alvin Kamara, Luke Kuechly, George Kittle,
Derwin James in the back.
Hall of Fame draft.
And then Christian Wilkins in the 3rd round with Broderick Martin, or Vince Wilfork, or even Dexter Lawrence. Maybe Broderick Martin is just kind of a guy. Maybe he's just a guy, and that's fine as long as he provides some like a rotational defensive line piece. That's fine. But he was relatively mid at Western Kentucky. I know he had his moments in training camp, and he was considered one of the breakout stars. But still, and one more guy that definitely needs to get cut before Levi Onwuzurike, and a lot of people are really not going to like this one, but I don't care. Jason Kabinda. Come on.
Oh, he's the heart.
Come on.
Here's the thing, Final.
He's a fullback.
He's
They're
a fullback,
extinct.
and you're absolutely. But when you talk about what Jason Kabinda can do to this team, for this team, He's an extension in the run game, and he's a hell of a special teams player. Now, I understand that that's not the most attractive thing, but something that's important for a 53-man roster. I think Jason Kambinda is one of those guys where it's like, yes, he's not the most, like, essential thing, but it's always nice to have, like, that utility fullback where it's like, all right, we need to get a 4th and 1 here. We're not giving it to Kambinda, but he can go out there and block somebody. You know what I mean?
He can.
Special teams, a lot of those returns that the Lions had in the special teams in the offseason, Jason Kambinda made a lot of really good blocks that kind of helped spring those open. So I get what you're saying, Flannel. You're not idiotic for it.
Well, what about
But there's just other guys that would cut before him.
What about this one? Chris Gumper chiming in the chat now. He says Houston would get cut before Levi.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. You know what?
I don't know about that one.
If James Houston gets cut, I'm worried about what's going on.
If James Houston gets cut, we're hitting the panic button and running out. No.
You trade James Houston. You don't release that, man.
And
they're not doing it. They're not doing it.
No, you're not touching James Houston with a 100-foot pole. Anything has to do with wave, traded, released, nothing.
You know, and this kind of reminds me of I believe it was, I forgot, was it Thursday show or one of the shows last week where I posed the simple question, what if James Houston is actually great? What if he's a future Pro Bowler or All-Pro? Maybe
There's too much potential
a Defensive Player of the Year. And the reason why is that obviously when you have 8 sacks in 7 games and you play that few of snaps, especially against the run, it's a possibility that it's a flash in the pan or it's a mirage. But it's also a possibility that he is just a transcendent pass rusher of the future because he had more sacks than Trayvon Walker and Kayvon Thibodeau combined.
That's
but
facts.
A lot of people gave me some pushback on that, and I just never understood. James Houston has been fantastic this preseason. I know some might say that it's been concerning that he's played in all 3 games, but he had a sack and a half. He had 3 quarterback hits. He had a tackle for loss. And in this preseason, he's actually played more run defense snaps than in his entire rookie year. And he has, I believe, held his own. So anybody saying, and I'm defending Levi Onwuzurike, if you think that James Houston should be anywhere near the like on the chopping block for a release, you should be drug tested immediately and have your brain just like lobotomized at this point.
Hold on. People are coming to the defense of Flannel here for his Kambinda take.
We'll take some Flannel.
People are defending Flannel.
I'm
serious. Look at Denver Blair. I agree with the Kambinda statement. Aloysius, regardless, AD we'll call him. You're telling me we can't cut Kambinda and put like a tight end at fullback when we need it. There you go. Real Queen Mawit says, I never heard his name on regular season game during the kickoff coverages. But a lot of people are agreeing with the Kambinda take. And even Denver Blair says if James Houston gets cut, I'm not worried. I'm worried, not stoked. That's fair, Denver. But still, Jason Kambinda, just slap a tight end back there.
I mean,
I like Kambinda, but people agree with your take.
Guys, and I know how like sentimental a lot of Lions fans are. Most of them, a lot more sentimental than myself. A lot of you like Jason Kambinda because when Dan Campbell was speaking during Hard Knocks, he had those like wide eyes and was like this. And people are like, that's a rider. That guy's got grit. That's a Dan Campbell guy. He's a fullback. And I get what you said. A lot of what you said is valid, Lucas, but if we're going to sacrifice Levi Onwuzurike, a potential rotational defensive line piece who was a better prospect coming out than Aleem McNeil,
right.
I mean, come on, that would be malfeasance in my opinion. It's a fullback.
What about,
how many good ones are there?
I see people talking about Romeo and Julian Okwara.
I think Julian's on his way out. I think Julian's going to get cut and or traded. I think it'd be smarter to trade him because there will be a partner that will at least give you like a 6th or a 7th for him just because of his potential. But after the last 2 games, I don't think there's a way we can keep him. There's just not enough there at this point. I mean, let's think about the names we just said.
I know.
Chase in a thin secondary, like a guy like Chase Lucas, Stephen Gilmore. We have a pretty deep line or defensive line.
I'm not saying you're crazy because I understand. Like, if you give me the pathway, I'll try to understand.
Okay.
And the Julian Okwara thing, like
that's your guy.
It is my guy. And I don't know if that's a proud thing I should be like representing, but it is what it is. I like Julian Okwara. I think there's, a ton of upside. He's kind of failed to reach that upside. But the preseason he showed, hey, I'm much better than everybody. At least the second, third string guys that are out on the field. So that's a good thing. The other part of it is, can he replicate that in the regular season or play up to that level? And if Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell don't believe that he will, the best option for them, Sam, would be to trade him while his stock is high. Because the preseason, people are thinking, wow, even the Giants, who he had 3 sacks against, are looking at Julian Okwara and saying, man, the Lions might have something in Julian. And then Brad or Dan are saying, see ya. We know what we have. But for me, I'd rather keep him. But again, this is what comes with tomorrow is making tough decisions. And like you said, you're going to cut good football players. It just is what it is. Now, if you're telling me Julian Okwara or Levi Onwuzurike, I think for the interior, you probably need a Levi Onwuzurike a little more.
Yeah, I would
but
say
I like
so.
Julian, man. It's a tough one.
No, Julian Okwara, I've always said before, he has a ton of talent, and he had a very, very good preseason game, at least the first one. I would say his last two were slightly disappointing. He didn't do enough, I would say, to make Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, you must keep him. But at the same time, Julian Okwara, I thought he was going to be something.
I did too.
But there's just so many, even when you count on like Charles Harris and John Kaminsky and his brother Romeo, that he just might be a casualty at this point. It's unfortunate. And I think there's one thing that we can probably agree on too. I think with Christian Covington being cut, that makes Levi Onwuzurike safe. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Yeah.
Because if Jeff Risdon wrote in the article one of his biggest competitors was a Benito and a Christian Covington, well, Christian Covington was cut.
Yeah.
Do you think Benito Jones is getting cut?
I don't know. I would expect so because you have Bugs. You have Bugs already.
Yeah, you guys know I'm not the biggest Levi O guy. Like I don't think he's going to pan out anywhere close to where Brad took him in the second round. But I would be pretty upset if we released him over Benito Jones because Benito Jones, you already know what he is pretty much. I mean, it's not like he's on a rookie contract. Like he's not going to be a difference maker. Levi, at least. You give him maybe another year, he has the potential to be. So work with that potential instead of going with a guy that's honestly below mid, Benito Jones.
Yeah, Benito, but they re-signed Bugs. You have Broderick Martin. So they got some depth, and if you keep Levi, I think the whole Benito Jones thing, like he's done.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but that's again, it's not about, like I talk about Julian, if he's cut, I'm not going to sit here and pound the table for Julian Okwara. Like Dan already kind of spoke on it. We're going to cut good football players. So I'm not going to, when Julian gets cut or Benito Jones, say, dang, they cut a good one. Like, now this is the good thing about what the Detroit Lions are right now, Sam Flannel, is you have a lot of depth in different places. You couldn't really talk about the defensive line depth 2 years ago.
No.
Now it's a good problem.
Yeah, I mean, but Benito Jones and Julian Okwara, I kind of look at their standing as somewhat similar. They made some plays in preseason. They have some talent. They could help the Lions, but when you have to trim the roster down to 53, I don't think they did what, say, a Levi Onwuzurike did or a Stephen Gilmore or a Chase Lucas, where they just said, I'm him, I'm arrived, you have to put me on this roster. Levi Onwuzurike, Julian Okwara and Benito Jones, I think, are two guys that could ultimately get cut. I'd be a little bit more disappointed with the Julian Okwara thing because I think he has a pretty high upside, but you just have never seen it. And sometimes, like maybe a Denzel Mims, for example, you'll just never see it. He's just always going to be mid or injured.
And by the way, I'm stupid. They have Josh Pascal, too.
Josh Pascal.
Oh, yeah,
that's my guy.
Okay, so that's
I just thought, and people are chiming in now talking about Josh Pascal. It's a great point. There you go. Another guy you can move on the interior and play edge.
Were you guys disappointed with how he played in preseason?
No.
Not
preseason.
Because it's not like I was disappointed, but I think I was expecting more out of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Pascal, to me, I don't think he's going to be this dude who's a sack monster. You know what I mean? He's the guy that I think could be like a John Kaminsky kind of, where he just affects the game without putting up a bunch of stats. Like, that's why I like Josh Pascal a lot. And I know I can't talk out of both sides of my mouth here and say, well, for Julian it matters because he had sacks, and for Josh it doesn't because he didn't. It's not I guess Josh, to me, we kind of know what he brought last year when he was healthy. I like Josh Pascal a lot. There's good things being written about him in camp. So I'm going to trust the judgment of Brad here, and I think Josh is going to be a nice addition. I do. As he's healthy and can play more on the interior and the edges, I love Josh Pascal a lot. I mean, there's a reason he led the SEC, I believe, in tackle for losses.
Well, and he showed a few things during his rookie year. It wasn't a completely lost season. I mean, he took turns with Romeo Okwara and Julian Okwara and having 2 sack games, and that was very, very impressive. But we shall see. I think he's obviously a guy that if he shows out, if he does something this year and beyond, that 2022 draft is going to be looking even better than it already is, and it's definitely one of the best draft classes, if not the best draft class in Detroit Lions history. The future is bright. We're talking about cutting some very, very good football players, some football players who have actually done things in the NFL, like Julian Okwara, for example. So we shall see. It is a great problem to have. This Lions roster, especially at certain positions like edge rush and defensive back, has a lot of depth.
Yeah, James Hewitt says Pascal was hurt last year. He will be a beast this year. See, James Hewitt's on the train as well. Patrick says Pascal fans. I'm telling
Pascal
you,
fans.
there's a lot of people that are supporting Josh Pascal, so it'll be exciting to see him this season with the Detroit Lions. Now, I'll tell you what, we'll tell you about our friends over at Dispo. When we come back, we'll talk about Brad Holmes. There's still moves that need to be made. What is one or maybe one of many your preferred moves you expect Brad to make? I'll tell you what mine is. Sam will give you his. Lucas will give you his. We'll do all that when we come back from break. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our friends over at Dispo because we were there Friday. They just opened up a new location in Whitmore Lake, which you guys should check out if you're near the location itself. You can experience the true meaning of cannabis products with Dispo Dispensary. Indulge in the finest selection of cannabis curated with care. There will be vendors, food trucks, music, killer deals, and epic giveaways, always typically at these locations. So again, Dispo's a party. You just got to find yourself there. Go check out Dispo only at Dispo Dispensary, your local cannabis plug.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. So register today at OutdoorEquipCo.com, and even you could have DMAC on your landscaping crew.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Thanks for sticking with us. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Again, we're over at the Detroit Golf Club for the Feldman Automotive Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational, benefiting Beaumont Children's and Mark Wahlberg and his Youth Foundation. We'll be here. Ermanni and Edwards with Maz will be here. Big D Energy will be here. Of course, heavyweights, unfortunately, because of the time slot, our guys are still at the studio.
They'll be holding it down, though.
They're holding it down. Man, shout out to those guys. Please go check them out, 5 to 7. Yep. They do great stuff. I filled in for Izzy, what was it, 2 weeks ago? Last week?
2 Fridays ago.
2 Fridays ago. Man, it was a blast. Like when I do heavyweights, it's an experience.
Oh, yeah.
So please go check those guys out, 5 to 7. They do great stuff. But I want to talk about Brad Holmes for a second here because he did or at least our team here, social team, including Lucas Booner, they put out a great graphic. Could you throw that up for the people so they can read it? The Brad Holmes and what moves should be made or what moves do you expect to be made? There you go. 53-man roster. What moves do you want to see Brad Holmes make to the 53-man roster before Tuesday? And I'll start. I mean, I think this is the obvious one. Bring in a veteran wide receiver.
Who specifically? My God.
See, there's a reaction to what I just said. The people are speaking.
Damn right.
Bring in a veteran wide receiver. Please. Corey Davis is off the table. All right, he's retired.
Who do you want, Jeff?
I don't know. If you gave me like a list of cut candidates, maybe I can give you answers. I don't have any off the top of my head. A veteran wide receiver that can – I don't need this some dude who's elite. I just need a serviceable – viable option, like another Josh Reynolds, or another Khalif Raymond, whoever it is. I just think it's thin, man. Like if Amon-Ra goes down, and I know I keep speaking about it, I got to knock on wood here because I don't want it to happen. I don't want Amon-Ra to get injured. But if God forbid it does, I'm still concerned. Sure. And I think another veteran wide receiver would be great. Maybe a guy who's available. I see Josh Palmer.
Josh Palmer, whoever's saying
that's
Josh
a great
Palmer,
one. That is silent.
One.
Silent knows ball because Josh Palmer's a great one as well. And people are saying Marvin Jones, guys. I don't know. I don't know if Marvin Jones. He's good for what 500 yards this year.
Well, let me ask.
He'll be fine. He's fine, Jeff. But I need someone with a little more upside. But go on, Lucas. What's up?
There's a rumor going around, and we cannot confirm nor deny this, that Brad Holmes, he's on the phone with Tampa right now.
Who?
With Tampa. Trying to get one Mike Evans.
Stop.
Reportedly. Now, these are rumors.
Stop with that Mike Evans crap.
These are rumors, but you're just talking about a guy you'd like to see. Veteran wide receiver. Tampa's probably going into rebuild mode. Mike Evans has been a loyal soldier there. They're probably like, if he wants to get out of there, they'll probably have no problem doing so. Because what is Mike Evans really bringing that team long term? There's also a rumor Now, again, these are all rumors that he's made a call over to L.A. for a one Mr. Cooper Kupp. But they were saying this could be the leverage to the Mike Evans trade. Now, we cannot confirm this, but I'm sure Brad's calling around. I mean, if he's calling for Trey Lance, he's probably calling around for Mike Evans and Cooper Kupp as well. Not saying that he's going to do it for sure, but it's out there. What would your reaction be to that? Jeff isn't pleased. Jeff isn't pleased.
Not that I wouldn't like Mike Evans. Trust me, I like Mike Evans. That is some Madden-esque stuff. You're telling me we got Amon-Ra. I mean, hell, get everybody. Go get everybody.
J-Mo
bring back Kelvin. Kelvin's here. We can bring him back.
Hey.
Bring it back, everybody, man. If you got Mike Evans, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then the Hall of Famer that Lucas claims, and Sam Laporta. You're talking about the greatest show on turf. End of story.
Woo!
What are we talking about here?
Well, if it's viable, I mean, if Lucas says it's a rumor, then it probably is a rumor. But you're right. If the Lions can somehow finagle a way to get Mike Evans, and I said the same thing about Cooper Kupp, if they can get Mike Evans to pair with Amon-Ra St. Brown and hopefully Jameson Williams when he comes back, along with guys like Marvin Jones, Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, this is the best offense in the NFL. This is a 30-point-a-game offense. Am I saying that it's viable? Maybe not. But Mike Evans, he's never not had a 1,000-yard season his whole career.
He's a beast.
Yes, he is.
I don't want this to be a Mike Evans thing because Mike Evans is a beast.
The definition of consistency.
Certified
He's quarterback-proof.
baller. And when he had a good quarterback, finally, with Tom Brady, the man ate even more. So, trust me, this has nothing to do with Mike Evans. And then speak easy. Easy, I love you. I do. I love you and I appreciate you. Who is your source? Is it Brad Holmes? If it is not Brad Holmes, I am not listening. I don't know. Is it the Ford family? Sheila Hamp. Who are you speaking to? Is it Rod Wood? Who is this source? Because for you to say, I got a source. Who's the source?
Easy's boys with Spielman.
The source could be Terry Foster. I don't know who the source is. So Easy, I love you, but don't tease me like that. When you say source on Mike Evans, that's a big deal. I don't think it's realistic. I don't. You have the money though. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. It could happen, but in reality, I think Mike Evans will want out. And Brad Holmes is the type to be in these conversations.
Detroit's a destination now.
Yeah.
It is. But damn, Mike Evans. And Easy says that's not how sources work. Well, you need a viable source. I mean, you can't just, well, my mother told me her opinion on Mike Evans. That's my source. My mom said we should trade for Mike Evans, so I got some inside information on how it would work. Like, no, who is your source? Like, that's important. So I would like to know who the source is. But Sam Flannel, I mean, what the hell are we doing? Mike Evans, that would be insane. If you get Mike Evans, I am willing to say Super Bowl.
Yes. I agree with you.
You have the greatest offense. You have the greatest offense in the NFC. Go make a Super Bowl run.
You'd have
do it.
You'd have the greatest offense in the NFL, not just the NFC. If you get Mike Evans and add him to this, and like you said, the Lions, they have the most cap space in the NFC North right now. I know they would have to take a big bite into that to get Mike Evans, but still, if it were to happen, I would absolutely love it. But does that also say if Brad Holmes is calling around about Mike Evans, as our very own Speak Easy Sports would say, does that mean that there's any doubts about their belief in one Jameson Williams? I knew it would always come back to that because it always does with me, but still, I understand that Mike Evans, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jameson Williams could represent the best wide receiver trio in the league, even better at their ceiling, I think, than Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. But still, Jameson Williams is supposed to be that guy if he can come back healthy and just get his feet under him in Week 7 and beyond. So in that regard, maybe you don't need Mike Evans, but I would still take him 100 times out of 100. I have actually another place where I was going with the Brad Holmes moves. What about a veteran backup or rotational piece on the offensive line at this point? Because here's the thing. We all know that the Detroit Lions offensive line is one of the best in the NFL when, as presently constructed, when healthy. But 3 out of the 5 of their starters have had very, very recent injury history. You got Taylor Decker, you got Frank Ragnow, and you got Vaitai, who missed all of last year. And I would say their one viable backup is Graham Glasgow. I think if they can find a way to get another guy in here, I think that would be absolutely huge for the Detroit Lions. And it would make me feel a lot better that they could withstand some injuries. But like you said, too, the wide receiver depth as well. It looks okay right now, I would say, if it's healthy, and especially after week 7. But if someone goes down, especially in the first 6 weeks, and if that someone is Amon-Ra St. Brown, that wide receiver core is less than mid if Marvin Jones has to be your number one, this version of Marvin Jones.
Well, I'll tell you what. If the Lions land Mike Evans, and according to Easy Source, it's happening. So it's happening. It's just buy your Mike Evans jerseys. I'll tell you what, you're going to want to join me on the Lions pregame show because I get to break down Mike Evans every week.
Oh.
I'm a lucky man, aren't I? You can join me on the Lions pregame show. Again, weekly special guest, as always, on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. Whether you're sipping the Kool-Aid or kicking it off, screaming, same old Lions, you'll not want to miss this show, premiering live starting Thursday, September 2nd at 6 p.m. Eastern. Join us all season long for an action-packed pregame experience, the Woodward Sports Lions pregame show. Now we're back to the programming. Easy said, no one said it's happening. Chill. Listen, I'm just going with your source. All right, that's all I'm doing, Easy. And I know, in all seriousness, Easy does not say it's happening, but he did. A source says that Brad is interested, which I think is true. Like, if Mike Evans is available, I would hope Brad would pick up the phone.
Sure.
That's what a good general manager.
That's what a good GM does. So if that's the source, then that's obvious. Like, if Mike Evans is available, then I'm gonna pick up that phone call. Now, if he wants to go to the Detroit Lions, if they want to give up a third for him or a fourth or a second, I don't give a damn what it is. I wouldn't give up a first-round pick, but still, I'm giving that to Mike Evans for sure. He still has a lot of football left in him, or at least a good amount.
Yeah, and that is a sign of a team that is in win-now mode, which the Lions obviously are. But I think even amongst all of us at Woodward Sports, they're still in that category of we expect them to make the playoffs, we expect them to win a playoff game, and if they accomplish that, then it's all well and good. And by make the playoffs, I mean win the division. I think a wild card would even be disappointing. But bring Mike Evans to this roster. Bring a guy who I would say if Mike Evans is on the team, it's like you got two number ones opposite each other. You've got two arguably top 10 receivers in the NFL on the same team, which no other team besides maybe Miami can say. This is a team that would be Super Bowl or bust. If you get Mike Evans, basically you're saying anything short of a Super Bowl win would be a disappointment. I don't know if the Lions are quite ready to have those kind of expectations, but that's what would happen if they were to get Mike Evans. But like I said before, Mike Evans would take a big bite into that cap space. But I think for this team, which is ready to win, it would be worth it. But like I said before, a backup offensive lineman and a veteran wide receiver, I think those are the two top priorities for the Lions right now when it comes to free agency. I think those are two, I would say, their biggest question marks.
And again, the offensive line agreed. That was something that I think they're a lot of teams struggle with. We'll see how the Lions handle it. I think wide receiver, and speaking of wide receiver, Mike Evans will be a great addition. Now, is that realistic? I don't know. But I do know that if there's a GM that can get that deal done, and that would be in that conversation, it's Brad Holmes. Now, I'll see what the future looks like at Tampa Bay. They don't have a quarterback. They're probably going to be in the ballpark for getting one this year, drafting a quarterback, unless Kyle Trask takes over. But it's going to be Baker Mayfield. I think Mike Evans is going to want out of there. I do. And hopefully Lions can land him, because I'm telling you, that's a win-now move. That's a let's go get a Super Bowl move in a weak NFC. I'm all for those moves. I think in a position the Lions are in the NFC as it currently stands, this is the time to be aggressive because the window's open. Philly, they did it last year. Can they do it again? The NFC East hasn't had a consistent winner in that division in like 10 years. The Dallas Cowboys are the Dallas Cowboys, end of story. The 49ers, quarterback, they have a great roster. That is a Super Bowl roster. But Brock Purdy, question marks at the quarterback position. The NFC's wide open, man. This is the time for Brad to be open and try and make splash moves to take that next step. And I think Mike Evans would be a great kind of target for that. I mean, he would put this offense over the top. And like you said, two number one receivers, and not just that. Mike Evans fills a need.
Yeah.
like what the Lions need and what we talk about all the time and what we're clamoring for, what we thought Mims would be, what we think Jameson will be. You get that right now. And a guy who's had 1,000 yards every single year in his career. I'll take it. I'll take it, Sam Flannel. You know what else I'll take? Something from Big Boy because I'm kind of hungry.
Oh, absolutely. And this is one of the best times at Big Boy because Strawberry Fest is back at Big Boy. Try classic breakfast items like some strawberry hotcakes or mouth-watering red velvet waffle. If you're not feeling breakfast, try the strawberry bacon chicken wrap or cool off with a refreshing summer splash salad. And don't forget to grab dessert, including their berry delicious classic strawberry pie, deep-fried vanilla Oreos, or strawberry hot fudge cake, and more at Big Boy.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, one for you, one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime, sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Let one of our talented, award-winning stylists make you look handsome and clean. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
When buying or selling real estate, flexibility and control over the sales process is key. Sellers, how would you like the freedom of canceling your listing agreement at any time for any reason with no penalty? That is exactly what Mark White & Associates offers. It's called the Minute-by-Minute Listing Agreement by Mark White & Associates. Try Mark White's risk-free minute-to-minute listing agreement today. Looking to buy or sell real estate? Visit markwhitesells.com or call 248-290-8242. Again, that is 248-290-8242. markwhitesells.com, where flexibility meets success.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Again, we're out at the Detroit Golf Club, courtesy of our friends from Feldman for giving us this opportunity. It's the Feldman Automotive Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational, benefiting Beaumont's children, obviously their hospital, as well as Mark Wahlberg and his youth foundation. So this is all for great cause. A lot of celebrities are going to be out here. We're obviously down here. Lady Jane's is down here. Just everybody. So please, if you can, if any way to support this whole event, please find a way to do so. It's for a great cause. We had our guy Tom on earlier, who works with Corewell Health, and he talked about where the money's going, and that's important. And we got to see that side of it. But I do want to get into more Lions. Do you have the graphic for the record prediction?
Oh, yeah.
Lucas?
Yeah.
Could you throw it up for me?
It
and
is
we'll go
up.
through
It is up, Hefferson.
Okay. And this is predicting every NFL team's 2023 record. The Lions, they have obviously listed there. Okay, well, you know what? Scrap that. Let's have a guest. We'll save it for the next segment.
Alrighty.
Please welcome our good friend Stefan, and he's going to join us today on the show. He's going to take a seat right here, and we'll get into the event itself and ask him some questions.
Go easy on me.
It's all good. How you doing, Stefan?
Very good.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Jeff.
Stefan.
Pleasure to meet you. That is Sam.
Stefan, nice to meet you, Sam.
So we'll start off. Tell me a little bit about your involvement and maybe the reason why you're here and just your thoughts on the event itself.
Well, the event is amazing. I'm friends with Jimmy Wahlberg, and I moved to Florida a few years ago, and I've been playing with golf with Jimmy. And as soon as he found out I was a golfer, he invited me to this event, and it's my third year.
Yep.
And I was looking forward for the best part about it is the not only the community, it's the when we go shopping downstairs. We're so shopping for shirts and hats and stuff, but it's well organized, and
Yes, it
it's
is.
also for a great cause. And then you get to rub it in with some movie stars, athletes,
Yes.
and that
And it's all kinds. You got movie stars,
Yeah.
NBA Hall of Famers from the NBA, NFL. It's tons
I
of
just
people.
met Kevin James for the first time, and I've been watching him for years. And I took a picture with Mark yesterday for the second time, and even though I'm 54 years old, I still feel like a kid next to them because I
Right.
watched them. Mark Wahlberg is probably one of my top 3 actors out there, and when you look at him and what he does on TikTok, and because I'm an addict on TikTok now, and then what he does to the community, but the role model that he is, it's just incredible, and you just want to be part of it. So for me to be here today and support, and also playing on a great course, it was an easy event for me to participate.
Yeah, no question.
Oh, shoot. I'm going to have to go find Mark Wahlberg and Kevin James myself and maybe fanboy over them for a second.
King of Queens guy.
Hey, a big King of Queens guy and a big Mark Wahlberg guy as well. How gratifying is it to be a part of such a great event that's actually, it's helping children, it's saving lives, it's helping their therapy, their treatment be better? Like, how gratifying is it just to see the turnout, see where the money is going? That's got to be a great feeling.
It's the best feeling in the world to be able to participate, to be included.
Yes.
I've been retired for 20 years now, and to be included in such it's a big community, but also it's a small. We need to support each other. And
Yes.
when I see Mark Wahlberg talking to the kids straight to from the hospital, it touches your heart. And I'm a grandfather now of 2 kids, and I, God forbid, like they're doing great, and you just want to participate, and it's the Wahlberg family. They're all nice.
Yeah, they are.
I'm friends with Jimmy. I met maybe 4 brothers so far. They all down to earth, and I'm thankfully thinking that I'm here today.
Yeah. And just to recap here, we're joined by Stefan Matteau.
Yep.
Okay, and of course, a guy who you guys may recognize, played over 800 regular season games in the National Hockey League, played for the New York Rangers, the Calgary Flames, the San Jose Sharks. We got Darren McCarty here at the network as well. Finished your career, obviously, with Florida in 03. I want to ask, though, personally, because me and Sam, I wouldn't say we're golfers. We've attempted it. We're not great. But what about you? How's your golf game? Would you say you're pretty good?
I'm pretty good. How long
have you been playing?
I've been playing all my life. Hockey, golf, it's a big hockey you play during the winter season, the winter months, and then it's all golfers wants to be a hockey players, and all hockey players wants to be golfers. So most of, and they I can shoot from anywhere from 77 to the next day I can shoot 94.
There you go.
So I'm self-taught. I never learned how to chip. I'm probably the worst 7 handicap chipper in the world, and I get nervous sometimes. But if I hit the greens, I can 2-putt it.
There you go.
But I'm a fun person to play with. I don't throw clubs. I used to do that once in a while in my A days. Now it's it's the best way to meet people.
Yeah.
People's character and the friendship that I built over the years. It's on the golf course.
And what about here locally with the Detroit Red Wings? Steve Yzerman is doing a good job. What are your thoughts on just Steve in general, him as a human, and what he's doing with the Detroit Red Wings?
Well, he's been outstanding. He did a great job in Tampa Bay, but also he was an idol of mine growing up, and I had the chance to play against him all those years when I was with the Blackhawks. So the rivalry was amazing. We had some good battles, but watching Steve Yzerman, what he's doing with I think the Red Wings are in the right path. He didn't panic the last 3 years, and I think what he's doing right now, I think the Red Wings they're going to surprise a lot of teams this year or the next year.
Derek Lalonde, you think playoffs this year?
Yeah, well, they have the young players. They made they added some key players last year, and even this summer. He's always moving. He's always doing something.
Yes, he is.
But he's not going to sell his team. He's not going to give up his first rounders and stuff. So he's on the right path.
No doubt about it. Again, thank you for joining us,
Thank
Stefan.
you very much, guys.
Pleasure's
Thank
all
you.
mine.
Thank you.
There you go,
Thank
Stefan
you.
Matteau. Joining the Morning Woodward Show here at the Feldman Automotive Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational. We'll go to break. When we get back, we'll get into the Detroit Lions and their record prediction. But before that, Sam, could you tell everybody about Swiss Insurance?
Oh, absolutely. And planning or sponsoring a golf outing this year. How apropos. Ask Swiss Insurance about hole-in-one, putting contests, and $1 million shootout coverage. For a very affordable amount, you could give away a huge prize like $10,000 or a new car. Help build your business with big ideas. Check out Swiss today, swissins.com, or call Mark at 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177, Swiss Insurance.
Hey, it's Sean Jordan from the Sports Marketing Agency, and SMA wouldn't be who we are without our amazing partners.
Thank you so much, Sean. At Detroit Wayne, we want to serve as a resource for you and your families. We offer mental health services, substance use disorder services throughout our communities, and we want to be that source and resource within the community.
If you or a loved one are suffering from a mental health or substance abuse issue, please don't hesitate to call 1-800-241-4949.
Have you ever argued with your little brother? How about some random guy you're stuck in a room with for an hour? Flannel Sam and Spencer Raxter are at each other's throats. One Spartan alumni and one Walmart Wolverine are locked in a room with nowhere to hide. You're welcome. Whether it's go blue or go green, you can go to woodwardsports.com for all the action. Coming soon to a device near you.
Welcome, everybody, back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. We're here at the Detroit Golf Club, the Feldman Automotive Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational, benefiting Beaumont Children's and Mark Wahlberg and his Youth Foundation. Again, all three shows will be down here. The fourth show, Heavyweights, will be at the studio 5 to 7. Stick around for that. But Big D Energy, Ermanni and Edwards will be down here at the Detroit Golf Club. So if you're making an appearance or if you're not, stay tuned to the network. You'll get all the inside look on everything that's happening here. We just talked to Stefan Matteau, played the National Hockey League. He's out here. We talked to him about the Detroit Red Wings. And, never know. We might get another guest on here. We'll see who shows up. But again, it's going to be a blast, and I'm having a fun time so far with my guy Sam. We got Lucas JB out here and the entire crew. Booner,
got a cam
of course.
now too, baby.
Yeah, yes, sir. Let's get to this Lions record prediction. We kind of held it off for our special guest, but let's get into it. And you can throw up the graphic now, Lucas. And this was put out by NFL Game Day, or the Game Day NFL. They put out the record prediction for the Detroit Lions. They have them going 11-6. Okay?
Content with it.
They do. 11-6, which I think is fair. Very fair. And I'll go through the schedule and we can kind of, well, first off, is 11-6 fair? Would you take that?
Oh, yeah. 11-6 is actually what I have as well.
Okay.
The problem is I would change up a couple of the games. There's one in particular that to me is egregious, but at the same time, we'll get to it. I think if you could guarantee 11-6, that's probably wins the NFC North. I think every single one of us would take it. If you could just snap your fingers, say the Lions are going 11-6, that'd be a very successful regular season to me.
Yeah, no doubt. I would agree. Lucas, you cool with it? 11-6?
Yeah, I mean, that's at the end of the day what I think they're going to be 11-6, 12-5. Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted, but yeah, I think they'll be around there. But there is one ugly loss that I agree with. Maybe that's like their Carolina game where they think they're just going to slip up, but there's one game that's bothering me on there.
For at least for the schedule, and you could pull the graphic up, so we'll go through it. Okay, they have them as a loss at Kansas City to open up on Thursday next week, but then they beat Seattle, and then they beat Atlanta, then they beat the Packers, then they beat the Panthers, then they beat the Bucs, then they beat the Baltimore Ravens. They start out 6-1, guys. My question is, how do we get to 11-6? You start off 6-1, and there you have it, 6-1 to start. I actually kind of agree, and I could see this happening because Kansas City, I could see them losing. We talk about this, and we're kind of, not that we're preparing to lose, but you'd be okay as long as it's a close game. That's what you expect, them to compete. Seattle, if you lose to Kansas City, Sam, Seattle's a must-win.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Absolutely, 100% must-win. Go out and win versus Seattle if you lose to Kansas City. Atlanta, Green Bay, Carolina, Tampa, and Baltimore, to me, that's all winnable games. Baltimore's a tough one because it's on the road. But I could see a 6-1 start, Sam. I don't think that's crazy. I don't.
You mentioned something that I think is, and I saw the exact same thing when I was looking at this record prediction. They're starting the season 6-1, according to this, which would include a loss at Kansas City, which I am also predicting. I don't think that's a death nail for your season at all. Although with the Chris Jones situation in peril, the game is becoming more and more winnable by the day. My problem is, the Lions are not losing to the goddamn Raiders on Monday Night Football. There is no chance of that. No chance whatsoever. And if they do, it would be a bad loss. I understand the Raiders. They've got some good players like Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, who kind of had a disappointing year last year, but whatever. They are the last place team in the AFC West. I think that's the 100% consensus. The Lions on Monday Night Football at home for the first time in forever since I believe 2018 opening week. You cannot lose at home to the Raiders. And it just seems kind of random that this list has the Lions going into Baltimore and winning, which with Lamar Jackson at the helm, the Ravens win a hell of a lot of regular season games. And then they turn around on Monday Night Football and lose to the Raiders? Absolutely not. That's the first thing that I see on this schedule that makes me go, I don't agree with that at all. They're not losing to the damn Raiders.
No, they're not. You're not losing to Josh McDaniel. That's a crime.
There you go.
If
Aiden O'Connell's their starter and he goes into Detroit on Monday Night Football
Lucas,
and beats Jared Goff.
If you lose to Josh McDaniels with Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. Oh, what's going on, Lucas?
Hey, there's a B, but you see what I'm doing. I'm ducking.
Oh, there's a B.
You see me stand up?
Oh, you dodging?
You see me stand
Don't
up?
dodge it.
I'm
Let
dodging.
it sting you.
I'm just going like this.
Let it
was in the
sting you,
mic. I
like
didn't
a man.
I didn't want to disrupt the audio.
Oh, so if you dodge the
buzzing
B,
by the mic?
you're good.
Yeah, I'm not standing and running
See,
around.
guys, this is the problem, the inconsistency on this network. All right? Lucas is dodging a B, but he's not scared of it. If I dodge a B, I'm scared of it. What's going on here?
I'm sending
Lucas
the B a
was
warning.
dodging a
I'm
B.
sending the B a warning. I'm like, you better get the fuck out of here. Better get the fuck out of here. And then it doesn't. And then I slap it and it's dead. You run.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. There was a B by you, and
Am I
you
still
dodged
seated
it.
here? I am still seated here. Was there a B in front of my face? Absolutely. I stood my ground, Jeff Iafrate.
You stood your ground.
Take notes. Take notes.
Hoof Hearted says that wasn't a dodge, that was pure panic. Are you talking about me or Lucas?
Listen, I'm not like Rain Dakota Prescott when the time's ticking down in the NFC divisional
Steve
round.
says,
I'm not
dodge, dude,
panicking.
you get in your car and leave. That is false. That is false. I do not get in my car and leave.
Go back to Birmingham.
I just have to pivot and move out of the way. And that's not fair to do. It's not. But you know what? We'll let it slide, Lucas.
When you know ball.
Because I love you.
When you know ball, you can get away with things like that.
So his ball knowing gives him a free pass. That's what it is.
The B probably just wanted to learn some ball, and I'm like, not right now. Not right now. I'm doing the show.
Yes. Jesus.
Okay, you know what? It is what it is. Lucas, I'll let it slide. But to speak on this list, let's keep going here because, well, I guess we got to go to break here, but I want to wrap up. What's up?
But before we do anything, because I got to get to this, there is no way that I'm betting for the Raiders to beat the Lions. But if you do want to throw your money away, there is one man that you can go to for all of the best advice, and there's one man to go to when you need your lock on College Game Day. If you should take the under for the Bears on Sunday, or if you just need to know how many glizzies Joey Chestnut is going to house this year. And that man is Booner of Woodward Bets, and I am here with him right now. Look at that man. He does not lose, as the ad says. Have no fear. Booner is locking in all football season to bring you the best picks. Only on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel, Saturdays at 11 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m. Premieres live Sunday, September 2nd. College football, he's got you. NFL football, you know it. Woodward Bets, watch on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. Love having him here, by the way.
Yeah, and by the way, Booner being out here is awesome. We got all the entire crew out here. Lady Jane's is out here. It's a big event. But I will say this. We'll go to break, and then when we get back, we'll kind of wrap up the record talk because we got to get to the second half of the schedule and how it all crashes and burns. Not literally, but they go from 6-1 to 11-6, and we'll tell you how that happens, and we'll get our thoughts on it. But before we do that, I got to hear about our friends from Planet Fitness, Sam. Flannel, if you can do that for me.
Planet Fitness. It is me doing the read again, of course. Again. You haven't seen the gun show in a while, but you know what? I have been to the gym recently. Look at this pump I got going on, and you can get it too. And Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. We are here to help you build a lasting, active lifestyle. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes in the 30-minute circuit, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for only $10 a month. Yes, we are still only $10 a month. No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. It's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential. I'm shining in the sun. Yeah.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White and Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
coming to Woodward Sports. Woodward and Main Street. The Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com. Winners, losers, pushes and draws, over-unders, prop bets, futures and spreads. Are you sick and tired of your picks being losers? Do you want to learn how to bet like a champion? Well, Woodward Sports searched the globe for the most dangerous man with a bet slip in his hand and gave him a show. Coming soon to Woodward Sports. Tune in every weekend as we introduce the greatest gambler to ever walk the earth.
Hi, I'm Booner, and I don't lose.
Your childhood may be over, but certainly playtime is not. Outdoor Equipment Company is your source for outdoor power equipment, sales, service, and parts, carrying top brands such as Bad Boy, LS Tractor Steel, and much more. They service the Great Lakes region with locations in Metro Detroit and Greater Lansing. For more information, visit them at OutdoorEquipco.com, your power equipment playground. All right, let's get to it. Plenty more to get to on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you guys for sticking with us. If you'd be so gracious enough, hit the like button on the stream. We'll try to get to 150 likes by the end of this segment. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do that. What are you doing? We just got to 47,000. It's big time. We appreciate all of you. That's because of all of you. And again, without you guys, any of this really would not be possible, quite frankly. So that's the truth. What else is the truth is the Lions are projected to go 11-6 according to the Game Day NFL. And put up the graphic. We'll go through the second half of the schedule. So we just got done. They're 6-1. They're taking on the Ravens, and they lose to the Raiders.
No chance.
You're joking. Then they go into a bye week, all right? Big bye week coming out of the bye week. You got a week off. Then you lose to the Chargers. Okay? But then you beat the Bears and the Packers to go 8-3. Now you're 8-3. You're riding high. You beat the Saints on the road. I believe that's on the road, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
9-3. So you're 9-3, Sam. And then you lose to the Bears. You beat the Broncos. Loss, win.
They have us losing to the Cowboys again.
Ooh.
The double loss to the
disgusting.
Vikings and the Cowboys.
This is the year we dominate the Cowboys. Regular season and playoffs if we see
it. Can the Lions get revenge on the Cowboys this season? I think so.
They can, yeah.
But they also can lose again.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know. But what do the people think? What do you think, Lucas? We'll start with you. The second half of the schedule, anything besides the Cowboys you got a problem with here?
I really don't I don't see the Lions losing to the Vikings at all this year. I really don't. I'm more worried about the Bears for them dropping a game, but the Vikings, okay, now let's break it down a little bit more. Their offense, which is the strength of their team by a country mile, especially this year, their offense got worse, without a doubt. They lost Dalvin Cook, who was probably, no doubt, their best running back since Adrian Peterson. And you're going to Alexander Madison, who's not going to stay healthy for 17 games. I'm sorry, he's just not. And then you lose Adam Thielen, who's been their most productive red zone target over the last 5-6 years, and you replace him with a rookie. I think Jordan Addison is nice, but to act like he's just going to come in immediately and be the Jordan Addison that you drafted year one is just incorrect. I'm sorry, it's not happening. KJ Osborne, solid. But then you go over to that defense. It's not stopping a nosebleed. I think the Lions are easily hanging 30-plus on them every time, and they're going to be doing it when they're running the ball because the Vikings secondary is trash, but so is their front seven. So the Lions are going to be able to control the clock, put up 30-plus points, and you stop the Vikings 2-3 times a game, you've won the game because their defense is going to be a lot like the Lions was last year, in my opinion. I don't care how talented the Minnesota Vikings roster is where they have Justin Jefferson here and they have Lewis Cine, who's supposed to be nice over here, and then you have Jordan Addison. I don't care. They're not a put-together fundamental team, and I think they're just set up for a 9-8 season. I don't care if they're division rival.
And by the way, put some respect on Dwayne McBride's name.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
For the Vikings.
The monster back out of Tulane. Let's make sure that he gets his credit. The rookie back.
The UAB legend, Starling Thomas, the fifth's teammate.
Did he go UAB?
I'm pretty sure he did.
My bad. I was thinking
I have
Tulane.
to double-check that.
It's either – I think I was mixing them up.
Maybe I'm completely wrong.
Figure it out. Either way, Tulane, UAB, same thing.
Either way, he's a dog. But either way, I agree with Lucas, though. I do, at least for this prediction. 11-6, though, I'm comfortable with. I don't know what they obviously don't go through scores of these games, and a lot of them could be decided, by 1 point or one score. I'm curious, and I wish they would give us context when you see record predictions, because how many of these games could have been won by a field goal? I'm kind of concerned about the field goal, the kicker situation with the Lions. I just am. I'm concerned. I know it's stupid. I know it's very, very insignificant when you look at the bigger context of things, but so many games in the NFL by a week-to-week basis, and Booner knows this because he bets on them, are decided by one score.
And Riley Patterson,
they just are.
He doinked a 53-yarder. Like, it's not like it's a long field goal, but as an NFL kicker, if you're the starting kicker, you should be able to make a 53-yard field goal.
And there's my concern, because you're telling me, okay, most games in the NFL are decided by one score, and the amount of kickers we've had for the Detroit Lions so far, it seems like Brad can't get it right. Not that that's a big deal. I don't think you should. And by the way, the whole Jake Moody over Hendon Hooker thing, I'll take Hendon Hooker every day of the week, twice on Sunday. I'm cool with that. I think quarterback, if you hit on it, it's much more valuable than a kicker. Kicker is kind of, you could just exchange one, go get a kicker. I mean, there's going to be guys available at some point. Now the question is, should the Lions upgrade that position? I think so, because this is a team that's poised to go on a playoff run, Sam, and that could be decided by your kicker.
No, I mean,
and even last year against the Vikings, you lost that game because of the TD given up to KJ Osborne, but also Badgley missed that 50-yard kick.
Sure, and you can, of course, ask the Bills with Scott Norwood after that 1990 Super Bowl, or you could even ask the Bears in that 2018 playoffs for Cody Parkey with a double doink. Kicking obviously plays a big role, but you know what else? It has the Lions beating some of their rivals this year. And speaking of rivals, Woodward Sports resident Sparty, Spencer Raxter, and myself, apparently I'm a Walmart Wolverine, Flannel Sam, go head-to-head in Woodward Sports' latest show, Woodward Rivals. You don't want to miss Flannel Sam breaking down why this may be the year for U of M, or heavyweight Spencer Raxter body slam every Flannel Sam stat that comes his way and defend Sparty's honor. I don't like this read very much. Tune in on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for the premiere on Thursday, August 31st from 7 to 8 a.m. weekly. Don't miss the most anticipated Michigan State show Detroit has to offer, Woodward Rivals. That does seem like that read was a little bit tinted towards in favor of Spencer Raxter. But you know what? I think I'll be the one having the last laugh during football season. But that is all well and good. Jeff, you mentioned the kicking position. I mean, Riley Patterson, Parker Romo, nobody's over the moon about them. I'm not as concerned as you, but you're right. Kicking, it's something that I wish more than anything in the world wasn't a huge deal in football, because you've got guys out there who are just warriors, some of the best athletes on the planet, and then you trot out a guy looking like Rodrigo Blankenship, and he can decide if you win playoff games or not.
Right.
Matt Prater, though, that's an athlete. Matt Prater's an athlete.
No, I understand that, but Rodrigo Blankenship played in the NFL, and you saw him. He's got like a fourth the muscle tone of me, and I don't even have that much muscle tone, although that Planet Fitness read, I'll tell you what. But, yeah, when it comes to their record prediction, I think the Lions losing at the Chargers, I think that's a loss. That's what we would call a league loss. I think the Chargers have a big year. Justin Herbert has an MVP-level season, and the Chargers win 12 games. Going to Los Angeles is a tough road trip. Another one, though, winning at New Orleans and losing at Chicago. I think the Bears are going to be good. I think they're going to win 7, 8, maybe even 9 games if they're lucky. I think they could get second in the NFC North, but still, you would like to sweep them if you're the Lions. The one, though, and Lucas, I agree with you 100%. I think the Lions are going to sweep the Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to implode this year. They're going to be a 6-11 team. They lost so much on defense, and they replaced it with Marcus Davenport, Dean Lowry, and Byron Murphy. I'm sorry I know they have some rookies like Andrew Booth and Lewis Seen, or not rookies, second-year players who missed a lot of the rookie season coming back, and they have Brian Flores, who's a good defensive coordinator, but there's a lot of unknowns with the Vikings, particularly on defense. That defense was bad last year. And they lost pretty much all of their best players except for Daniil Hunter. I mean, am I off base? Maybe Harrison Smith as well, but still. I think they are going to...
Harrison Smith is way past his prime.
Sure.
Eric Kendricks was their field general. Now he's gone. He was the leading tackler last year, and he's going to L.A. So they're not going to be able to stop the run or pass. I'm sorry. Like, their defense is going to be probably the worst in the NFL this year.
Let's go to break. When we get back, we'll get to What's Trending with Lucas here, and then we'll wrap up the show. We'll get to mailbag. But, yeah, we'll get to What's Trending with Lucas because I want to hear what Lucas has for us today. We'll see you guys right after the break. Stick with us. Don't forget, hit the like button. Be patient. We'll be right back.
Fellas, let's be honest. We like things to be easy. We like simple stuff, like sports 7 days a week. We like things uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thanks for sticking with us. We're here at Detroit Golf Club for Feldman Automotive's Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational, benefiting Beaumont Children's and Mark Wahlberg and his Youth Foundation. Mark's here. His brothers are all here. The guys are warming up right now. There's just a ton of celebrities out here, man. It's a big impactful event for kids that need it. And again, there's so many different people, from NBA Hall of Famers, NFL Hall of Famers, NHL players, actors, everybody. I mean, it's musicians, boxers. I mean, you name them, they're here, all celebrating a great cause. And we're down here as well. So will Big D. So will Ermanni and Edwards with Mass. But let's get to what's trending with Lucas. Lucas, what do you got for us?
All right, JB helped me cook with this one, but I know somebody in the comments, and this is for them, they kept asking JB about the AEW. I believe it was Saturday night. And I know if you guys saw it, I saw a split second, but this is just absolutely insane. I don't get how people can just go out there and do this.
The skewers. A little bit of acupuncture coming. Oh.
Acupuncture or just puncture. Oh, Penta, the up kick. Moxley still with that handful of skewers. Oh, the chair trimming into Moxley's head. And now Penta.
Yeah, and you know, if you introduce something like this, you know it could be used against you.
Oh!
Oh, my God. Oh, my God, I'm seeing everything now.
Wembley Stadium.
Oh, my God.
God, I don't know if, Jeff, were you able to see that? Dude got stakes beaten in his head as a sport. So what do you guys think about that? JB, why don't you comment on this real quick?
Definitely quite wild. I didn't get to see the whole match because I was at work, but I did get to see a lot of the clips, and Jon Moxley is a different level type of wrestler. I'll tell you that right now. He's crazy. He's just flat out crazy and insane.
JB.
Yeah.
What the hell is that? D-Mac did that. And by the way, this is what I love about D-Mac. I respect that man with every bone in my body, because D-Mac actually did that same exact thing.
It's wild, man. I'm telling you.
They're built different.
They are definitely built different.
Like whatever people want to say, I think it's fair to say, like, wrestling's not for me. Like, I used to love wrestling, man. Like, that was one of my favorite. Before I got into UFC, and I just always I've just been more obsessed with UFC. But one thing I will never say is it's fake to where those guys don't actually get hurt. Yeah. It may be scripted, JB, but you know this better than anybody. Those guys do sustain pretty significant injuries.
They really do.
It's a grown man sport.
And honestly, if you keep watching that clip, you'll see the blood just literally start to pour out of the top of his head, and it's
gosh.
It's really sickening if you're squeamish to blood like that. But yeah, he's on a different level. That's Jon Moxley for you right there, aka Dean Ambrose.
And how the hell is it, like, the end of those little things got, like, little, like, points in them or something? It, like, sticks in the...
There's shish kebab sticks. There's skewers. That's what you put shish
die.
kebabs on. That's what I was saying. I'm like, anyways, but let's lighten the mood a little bit. What was it? Friday night. Parker Meadows. Hit that dinger. And we just so happened, if you guys were watching the show last week, Jalen, who's been helping us out, he was there, and he caught just an awesome video. There's a couple F-bombs in it, but you know what? It's all in good fun. The Comerica Park erupted, and this is the video that Jalen got.
Let's go! Come on.
Jalen's reaction here is absolutely hilarious.
Let's go! Let's go! That's what the fuck I'm talking about! Oh, man! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Shout out Jalen for getting that.
Yeah, shout out to the guys, man. There's Tyler, Jalen, Tony D might be out there as well. Dombrowski, man. Shout out to those guys, man. And also, shout out to the Tigers.
Yeah.
Shout out to Scott Harris for finally getting some dudes in here who can connect with the baseball, Sam. I mean, Parker Meadows making plays, and we all know Kerry Carpenter, obviously Spencer Torkelson, Riley Green, but you're finding more and more guys. And that's credit to Scott Harris.
Well, I think over the course of a full season, the Tigers have proven that they've got Spencer Torkelson, although he's had some struggles with his average and his on-base percentage. I think he's going to be a guy for the future. Riley Green has had a damn good year. Kerry Carpenter has been nothing short of a revelation. He's had the best year out of any Tigers position player, and he was kind of an afterthought, has absolutely balled out. And then Parker Meadows, your first ever home run. I want to say his first ever RBI was a walk-off home run to beat the defending World Series champion Houston Astros on a Friday night. That was one of the most electric images of Comerica Park I've seen in years. What a hell of a moment, and I'm proud to say that I was actually there for his Major League debut. He almost hit a walk-off that game, but it fell a little bit short. It was caught in right field, but still, that is your core. And if Matt Manning's pitched pretty well this year as well, and Tarek Skubal, he's another guy that showed some things and we're happy about. Hopefully we get Casey Mize back. We got some guys coming through the system like Colton Keith and Malloy and even Jackson Jobe. The Tigers are winning the division next year. Yes, I'm putting it on the table. The Detroit Tigers are winning the AL Central next season.
Now,
book it. The division's terrible. Come on.
You're not off on that. But you know what, Sam? I don't mind it. I don't mind the optimism right now. Nice. I don't want to talk about yesterday's game. I don't want to talk about it.
What was it, like 17-4 or some shit like that?
I don't want to speak about it. Me and Mike were there. We were helping our friends at Planet Fitness out. They were working an event there, and we were helping them. We got to see some of the game at the beginning. We watched Verlander on the plate, at least pitch to a couple guys. We didn't get to see Miggy on the mound, but we did watch the Riley Green matchup, and he got to see what Verlander's about. So that was cool. But we didn't see the 17-4 beatdown. And good thing we left early because we had to head back. But I did check the score when I got home. Yikes.
All right.
We were through 4 innings, and it was like, okay, this will be a good one. And if I'm not mistaken, it was like the 5th, 6th, and 7th, or it might have been the 6th, 7th, and 8th, where everything just went out of control. And I think they scored like 12 runs or something like that.
No, and that's
but
fine.
Regardless, let's not talk about it.
I mean, every team has a clunker from time to time, and I'm not saying that the Tigers, they're going to probably finish 10 to 12 games under 500 this year, and that's fine. They're still ahead of schedule. They're still, if they finish the season even 76 and 86, that is a hell of a lot. They're a hell of a lot farther along than a lot of people thought. I remember at the beginning of the year, people were talking historically bad. They were talking 50 wins. This is a team with a bright future, and they are just fun to watch.
And by the way, Dr. Dirty D, I mean Verlander on the mound. That is my bad. Verlander on the mound, but I saw Miggy on the play. I didn't get to watch him live. I know he hit a homer late in that game as well, but I didn't get to watch him against Verlander. So, and that would have been a great moment. If you were there at the game, you got to see that. I only saw Riley Green. I saw Spencer. And then we scooted out of there a little after that because we wanted to beat traffic. But regardless, people who were at the game, despite what happened, late in the game, still great to see Verlander. He got a standing ovation. It was awesome to watch. So it was a great environment to be at. I want to go to break here. We'll get back. We'll get to mailbag. Get your questions ready, everybody. And we'll be back in a short while. We'll see you guys after the break.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
We're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you to everybody for joining the show, showing support to the show. And don't forget to hit the like button. We'll try to get to 175 likes before the end of Mailbag, before the end of the show. And we'll get to some of these questions. Denver Blair says Jeff talks about leaving the game in the parking lot before entering. That is false. I did not do that. I did not discuss how we'd leave. We just left. We got to. Mike said verbatim, and I agreed. He said, "Hey, let's watch Verlander's couple pitches. So let's just watch him start, just to see him, and then we could head out." Because we didn't have tickets to the actual game. We were just there in the arena. We didn't have seats, so we would have to stand for the entire game.
Jeff doesn't need seats or
J.
tickets
Mart
to
says
go to
Jeff
the
will be the
Tigers
first
game.
one in his car before the game's over. Well, a lot of games this year, yeah, that is true. Chuck Brewer says Jeff left like a bee was chasing him. And I'm not going to confirm or deny that. All right, let's get to questions. Jesse starts us off. Mailbag, will you talk about college football tomorrow or no? Just curious. Second question, what are your guys set up and meals for Saturday for opening day for college football? Jeff, I know Lucas will have 3 TVs going. I'll be locked in this week. See, Jesse, last week I did not care for it. We do have a watch party this week as well. With our new programming, but also on top of that new programming, we got Broder and Booner's new show, 8 to 10 weekdays. Please stay tuned for that. A lot of special guests, a lot of new content. Broder and Booner, it's about time those guys got a show. So please stay tuned for that. They'll be starting up very, very soon. Again, 8 to 10 weekdays at nights, Woodward nights with Broder and Booner. But yes, Jesse, we'll be doing a lot of college football content, no doubt about it. Wyatt says, Mailbag, name 2 players you see making the roster, 2 you see getting cut. 2 I see making the roster, Stephen Gilmore, and I'll say Dylan Drummond. Because Antoine Green, I don't think they'll cut him. So I'm going to say those are my 2 out of the limb guys. Stephen Gilmore is an obvious one, and then I'm going to say Dylan Drummond. Now, 2 that I think will get cut, Starling Thomas V, Chase Cota.
Okay, those are good ones. I am going to say who make the roster. I'm going to say Antoine Green and Stephen Gilmore, and those who get cut, Will Harris and Starling Thomas. Will Harris better get cut
Will
at this
Harris,
point.
baby.
This
Get him
secondary
gone.
is too damn deep for Will Harris and his 124.5 passer rating allowed in the preseason to be on the team. I'm sorry. He could make it on last year's secondary. He was even a starter in a lot of games, but they upgraded. And you got to go. I'm sorry.
This question's interesting. Herb Nash, what wide receivers will make it and who's getting cut? Green, Drummond, Cota on the bubble. I would say Coda's the one cut. Green and Drummond make it, and then when Jamison gets back, then you're gonna have to make a tough decision at that point. But I think at first it's gonna be Coda getting cut.
Yeah, I'd probably say Coda at this point.
Maybe he'll rejoin the practice squad, which won't be bad. I think that's fine. What about this question, Noah M? What's more likely to happen? Brian Branch 3 picks, 1 forced fumble, or Jahmyr Gibbs 1,500 yards from scrimmage?
Brian Branch. I'm going to go with Brian Branch on that one. I don't think Jahmyr Gibbs has 1,500 yards from scrimmage. I think he probably has 1,250.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you. I'll say Brian Branch. But then 3 picks, though. I mean, you got Kirby getting his picks, CJ getting his picks.
God, that's so hard because...
You know what? I'll go Jahmyr.
And interceptions, it doesn't always measure the value of a player like Brian Branch, who's so versatile, does everything as a safety, slot corner, could probably even play wide corner in a pinch. And you know how it is. If you cover a receiver well enough, if you do other things well, you might not get interceptions.
Yeah, I think Brian, doesn't mean don't think he'll be great. He'll be great. I think he'll be the steal of the 2023 draft. But what's more likely to happen, I think Jahmyr with his usage. I don't know. We'll see. If both do what they're supposed to do, we'll be all right. It'll be a great conversation to have. Dr. Dirty D says Hutch had 3 picks. That is true.
He did.
That is not false information. Let's see here. John Lord says, Mailbag Jeff, if you thought that was crazy, you should watch CZW highlights of the death match. JB, you know what that is? CZW. Death match.
CZW. So I've heard of it. I just haven't seen a lot of their clips. I have seen a couple of their death matches, and it gets kind of wild. I'll say that.
Oh, jeez.
Light bulbs, broken glass. Like, I seen one where someone actually did like a hurricane runner flip onto some glass, and in the corner. So it's kind of wild. As you can see, Lucas's face. I don't know if you can tell. Like, it's probably nothing you really want to see firsthand. Like, it gets messy. The ring gets messy, not just with blood.
I'm good.
You're good?
Just to answer that question, I'm okay.
You're good? All right.
Jesse says it looks like Lucas scared those ladies off.
You think I'm the reason ladies got scared off when we got Flannel and Jeff sitting up on the desk? You're lying to yourself. Lying.
Nicholas Earl says, Mailbag Jeff, who ends the season QB2? Well, I would say Teddy. Now, but Hendon will be right there. Now, I don't want people to think if QB2 is like Hendon has to be QB2. I could see a scenario which he kind of is still QB3, but next season takes over as QB2, maybe even QB1 if things go well. Who knows? But I think it's going to be Teddy Bridgewater. I do.
I think there's an outside shot for Hendon Hooker to be QB2. I think, you know what? Call me crazy. I think if the Lions have everything wrapped up in their final and they play their final home game against Minnesota, that Hendon Hooker could even get the start. As long as he keeps progressing in his recovery the way that he has, I wouldn't hate it at all. We shall see.
Yeah, I just think the Lions would trust a veteran, I guess. But we'll see. If Hendon Hooker's QB2, that's a good thing, Sam Flannel.
Sure.
It really is. You know what else is a good thing? Having the benefit of doing the Morning Woodward show here at the Detroit Golf Club. Credit to our friends from Feldman Chevrolet, Feldman Automotive. They have the Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational benefiting Beaumont Children's and Mark Wahlberg and his Youth Foundation. We'll be down here, like I said, Big D Energy, Ermanni and Edwards with Maz will be down here, and we're, of course, down here, but that'll do it for the show. We'll be back tomorrow at the studio for a packed show for you guys as well, but until then, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and until tomorrow, we'll see you guys.